My sisters and brothers, I greet you all with the love and peace of the Lord. I invite you to meditate together with me on the Holy Word of God of 27th Sunday, 4th October 2020. The focus of our reflection: we are stewards to whom God has entrusted His rich treasures of grace and blessings. This demands a sense of gratitude, humility, responsibility, diligence, fidelity, and fruitfulness. Vineyard is one favorite and frequent biblical expression. 25th Sunday spoke of the parable of the workers in the vineyard. The previous 26th Sunday spoke of two sons asked to go to work in the vineyard. And now, this Sunday, once again, both the first reading and the gospel mention about vineyard. The image of vineyard forcefully brings out the deep personal care of God for His people. What a minute and meticulous care He takes to cultivate it. He provides everything for its healthy growth and for its abundant productivity. So, it is quite reasonable that He expects fruits, but He is totally disappointed because He does not receive the due fruit. In the first reading, the vineyard yields wild grapes, and in the gospel, the tenants act violent, turn greedy, and try to misappropriate the vineyard from the hands of the owner. Clearly, the failure is in rendering the due fruit to the owner. Behind this explicit and visible failure, there is a total lack of sense of stewardship. They completely forget that they are only stewards. God has trusted them so much and entrusted them so much. This should make them deeply grateful toward what is given in God's abundant generosity. They should be humble because God gives them even though they do not deserve, in spite of their unworthiness. And they should be responsible because of the trust He placed in them. They should work hard in order to prove themselves. And they should be faithful in producing a rich harvest and render the fruit to the owner. But they fail in all these counts. We can summarily classify three categories of people and three aspects of responses. 1. Mediocre and lethargic people who are lazy and slothful, and they do not bother about producing fruit, and even if they produce, they are not concerned about the kind of the fruit. Second, they produce fruit but wild fruit. This means they are engaged in useless and worthless activities and results. Third, they produce well and abundant fruits, but these are greedy, malicious, and manipulative. They may be very competent and talented, and do lot of things and produce many fruits. But unfortunately, they try desperately to take the whole credit for themselves. They are so self-centered and try to own the whole glory by themselves. The whole problem in all these three categories and aspects is a total lack of stewardship. This leads to lack of responsibility and diligence in the first two categories. In the third category, that leads to a total misuse and abuse of the given charge. They mistake the duty to be power. They mistake the trust of the owner as opportunity to exploit. They mistake violence as means for grabbing property. They mistake their greed as the threshold for the bumper offer of fulfilling their over ambition for ownership. In the present times too, these three categories never lack members. There are those who produce nothing and remain unproductive. There are those who produce useless fruits, and there are those who misappropriate God-given gifts and resources for their own self-interest, those who abuse them, and those who steal away all the credit and glory from God. What about us? Do we tend to be tepid and unproductive? Are we shallow and superfluous to produce useless fruits and valueless activities? Are we so avaricious and self-interested that we try to exploit, manipulate, and grab away what belongs to God or others? And now the direction and the directive for our life. If only we humble ourselves a little more to acknowledge that we are only stewards and not the proprietors, and therefore should be more accountable, how beautiful will be our Christian life.